topic around church wedding was trending. And I found it very interesting because this is the same Twitter that will see lots of arguments about if it's important, if it's really necessary, if it's even our culture, and all sorts of arguments. Today on Catholic Faith Forum, we shall be discussing if the church wedding is important. Joining me today is the president of the Catechist Association of St. Dominic's Catholic Church, Yaba, Mr. Anthony Ubili. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
So how has it been like being the president of the Catechist Association of the Church?
Yeah, first and foremost, being a catechist is a vocation of its own, because if you don't have the required knowledge or the required training, you cannot really be a catechist. So you need to update yourself from time to time.
Yes.
Now that the church is going digital. Okay, so it's not easy being a catechist. Let's say not being a president, but by the case of God, we are doing our best.
Oh, thank you so much. I love your spirit. Just keep it till we come back. Don't go anywhere. When we come back from the short break, we'll get right into our discussion. Stay with us. And I'm Nonso. Today we shall be discussing if the church wedding is necessary. So, I just mentioned that there have been discussions on Twitter, social media about church wedding. Some people argue that it's not even a tradition. So what's the true origin of the white wedding, like some people call it?
Yes, like you said, some people call it white wedding. But come to think of it, when people mention white wedding, they're actually referring to church wedding. And when they talk about church wedding, they're also referring to white wedding. But let's take it as it is. White wedding, originated from the former Queen of England, who wore just a white gown to her wedding. And people started copying it, even though that the wedding took place in a church, which is a church wedding, but people were not referring to white wedding. Okay, so it's good to also draw the line. There is a thin line between the two, church wedding and white wedding.
So you're just saying people call it white because of the dress?
Because of the dress.
So people can wear any other color of dress?
Sure,
what you're saying?
Can wear gold. Church permits gold. There is no compulsory must put on a white gown. Okay, because any feast or any celebration in the church that has to do with, in a joyful mood, you are expected to put on a particular color. Okay, take for instance the Christmas season. The priest, sometimes you see the priest put on white vestment on the altar. So the same thing with white or gold. So it's not basically that you must put on a white wedding, but people just copied it because she wore white to her wedding. So, but they're actually referring to church wedding.
So is it appropriate for someone to wear black to the wedding?
Of course,
nobody
wants to wear black. Colors is they say it's the vision of the mind.
Okay.
Nobody wants to wear black. Even funerals now, people are stopping. People are no longer put on
black, now wearing white.
They tend to wear green. Oh, we are not. He's not dead. He's still alive. So we are putting on green, which signifies what? Life and all that.
Oh,
while some put on white.
Yes.
So you notice the black color for funerals are actually diminishing. So nobody wants to erase and put on black.
Okay, in the Bible, when they talk about marriage, it's mostly between families. Just the heads of the family give the woman or the man just join them together. But today it's been like there's been a shift from this tradition. Why is this so today?
And I won't agree with you that there is a shift.
Okay.
The church still recognizes the fact that the family is the basis, the foundation of Christian home. So everything the church is doing originates from the family, or starts from the family, or takes precedence from the family. Take for instance, for every church wedding to take place, during marriage course, they will advise the couple to ensure that they go and do their traditional marriage. Okay? Even if you cannot do that, but you are advised to respect the tradition, of which family plays a very big role when it comes to that. Or if I may even ask, have you ever seen any invitation that does not, have that line that the families of so inviting their children?
But what I'm asking is not if the families are involved. I mean, can the family do the marriage themselves without involving any priest? That's what I'm asking. Why is that?
Now, that's why it's a sacrament. You see, wedding is a process, an act or a process of marrying someone.
Yes.
The marriage itself is the union. Two of them in that union is the marriage. Then, sacrament is what validates that union.
Okay.
So, no matter the blessing received from the parents, or think that the parents can actually give their children into marriage is not enough, because God himself ordains marriage. Remember, he says that whatever I have joined together, no one should put asunder.
Yes.
And who is the person? Who is that minister of God that will validate that? Is the priest. And where is it done? In the church.
But they say God is everywhere.
Of course, God is everywhere, but of course, God is in the motor park. God everywhere, but who has had his kids are wedding at the motor park? So that is the question. So people tend to, misuse some of these terms that God. Yes, you can pray, but there is a dwelling place of God.
Okay.
Okay. Why did God decide to bring Adam and Eve in a particular place called Eden, and gave His blessing upon them?
Yes.
Of course, God has to do it. Even the blessing of our parents are not enough. So the blessing that God gives is what supersedes and what takes us to the next level, so to speak. Okay, that's where you get the blessing. The priest will bless you. Okay, having the children. Even take another vow that will take you along in the marriage. Are you going to bring the children that God is going to give you? Will your parents give you children? So it all comes from God.
Okay.
So God is one that will take, all his way and also to take us to the next level.
I'm glad you mentioned vow, because I want to ask you something about vow. Well, let me ask you first. You mentioned traditional marriage. But I often wonder why our traditional marriage is not enough, especially in the Catholic Church. They then ask you to go and first do your traditional marriage before coming to have a church wedding. Why isn't that enough? I don't understand. I keep wondering, like, how come I can't do my traditional wedding and that's all? Why do I have to go to the church again?
Of course, it's never enough.
Okay.
You remember what Jesus tells us in Scripture, that give to Caesar what belongs to the Caesar, and give to God what is God. So you are giving to the tradition. And he also said that he has come to strengthen the culture and not to abolish it. So we are giving to the tradition what belongs to them. Then we come back to the church and solemnize the union, validate it. So of course the church recognizes the fact that the tradition must hold. In some cases, when the groom and the bride have different, tradition, in contrary to their own culture, they have two separate traditional marriage. One that respects the groom side, or one that respects the bride side.
Yes.
So, but when it comes to church wedding, it is one process. The church takes absolute control, because we are talking about the sacredness of that union, which is God's alone. So, of course, the traditional marriage is never enough. Yes, it's never enough.
Okay, so what's the reason behind having a church wedding?
The reason is that...
Okay, not even a church wedding. What's the reason behind having your wedding within the confines of the church?
The reason is simple. Like I said at the beginning, God, when Adam woke up and saw Eve, the bone of my bone, the flesh, and all, what did God say? He blessed them. He blessed the union. The same blessing we receive at every church wedding. He blessed them and said, multiply, conquer the earth. It's only God that can give such blessing. I can only come from the priest, who is the minister of God. So the priest can give you blessing, but it can't supersede that of God's blessing. So the church wedding is very necessary, because God himself endorsed marriage from the beginning. And the reason why he said that whatever he has joined together, he didn't say whatever your parents have joined together. Come to think of it, some parents are not even in support of their children's marriage. We see today whereby there are some are looking for influence, connection, wealth. By so doing, they are trying to lobby and matchmake their children, which is not good. You see, at the end of the day,
and the church does not allow that, right?
It's not good.
Yes.
What the church does first and foremost is love. There must be love binding them.
Yes.
According as we will come to the validity of what makes a marriage valid, we will talk about that. But first and foremost, church try to find out, is there love between these two persons.
So I know you're a Catholic, catechist, and you understand. I know I've attended some masses that I see, like morning masses, where I see people getting married. And then when I was young, I went to a Catholic boarding house school, secondary school, and so when I attended mass in the morning, and I see couples getting married in the morning, I'm like, nobody's even there. Students that are there to witness your marriage, and it always keeps me wondering. I'm like, I don't think a lot of people would ordinarily want to do it, especially in our time today. I don't think a lot of people are doing that now. So is there a way you people educate people, tell them that you can actually have your weddings this way and it's fine?
You see, to come to think of it, just yesterday we had similar wedding.
Okay.
Just about 20 of us, worshippers and all that. The point is that there is no one who is asking people to do have that extravagant wedding. Let me even ask you, have you seen wedding being done in the evening? Have you seen any church wedding being done? So what is the essence of, what's that rationale behind the people saying morning mass wedding? Every morning is being done in the morning because there's always time for reception.
Now, social media, we see a lot of things on social media now.
Yes.
I've seen weddings done in the night. That the couples just want to stare and gaze into the stars and gaze into the sky and all that.
In the church?
No,
or about court wedding or engagement and all that?
And so I'm getting somewhere now. So I know a lot of youths are crazed about destination weddings, where they get to travel, they get to do it outside the church. What does the church say about this?
Like I was saying, you cannot have a church wedding outside the church.
Okay.
That's what we call dwelling place of God.
What if I want to bring my priest along with me? And I say, okay, since it's the priest that is the minister of God, like you said, can they bless it outside the church?
Of course, if a priest can celebrate mass anywhere, okay, priest can have mass outside the church where the people of God gather with the priest. So if you are bringing a priest, that means the marriage or the wedding is valid. Of course. Well, the issue of having saying this is morning mass wedding, is not that. No, actually, people should know that what matters is, the sacredness of that union, bringing them together. That it could be done without a large number. In fact, come to think of it, what do we require? The minister, the couple, the sponsor, the parents.
Okay, how can we look at it from this angle that we also require the house of God, because that's where God is?
The minister of God, who is the one that takes the authority, is enough. Anywhere he chooses to do the wedding, is enough.
So you are saying that we can actually have destination weddings?
When you say this, it depends what we're talking about. A priest, once the priest is there, that means that his discretion should show that, okay, this place is enough for me to celebrate. A priest cannot take a wedding to a club. So when we say distinction, so we should be able to identify what we are actually looking at here. So a priest cannot take a wedding to a club or to a beer parlor or a motor park. Okay, so actually where the place, of course, I know people admit to even take a wedding to such places. When we say destination, so we are looking at where is that, because it's a sacrament.
Okay,
yes. It's a sacrament. So people should know that sacrament is a sacred thing. So that is why we don't just joke with it. So a priest can have wedding mass wherever he decides to have.
Okay, but I'm glad you mentioned that the sacrament, meaning that it can be taken to just anywhere, and most times it's always in the house.
Sure, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So let's talk about, let me go back to vows now. You mentioned vows earlier. I know the scriptures, Matthew chapter 5 verse 33 to 37 talks, Jesus warns us against taking vows, and then the church calls it marital vows. Why are we taking vows? They said, let your yes be yes and let your no be no. So you don't need to say, oh, I promise to do this, blah, 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 blah. So why do we take vows?
You've already answered the question.
Oh, really?
Let your yes be yes. And that was what John was trying to explain. He didn't say that we shouldn't take vows. As a matter of fact, marriage is a covenant, not a contract.
Okay.
And whatever that involves, covenants, there's always vow taking. Okay, so when two people gather together, there is this vow, exchange of vow, to be together till death do us part. So the vow Jesus was referring to, don't take a vow and go back and do the other thing.
But people do that now. People do that now. They say, I will stay with you, I will stay with one woman, I will stay with you till the end, till I die. And then you see that same man that just had his wedding, which day? You see him with another lady the next day. So people do it now. Isn't that not contrary to what Jesus said?
Yes, no, that one, we're all sinners now. We are conscious of the glory of God. So if people fall apart, we pray for them and try to, that what we do most times, we call it back to the fold, try to, tutor them again, catechize them for them to understand what marriage is all about. Okay, but that is not to say that vow taking is a very serious thing in mind, because you are meant to live with your vow and live by the vow you took with your spouse.
Okay, so what makes a church wedding valid?
By the virtue of CCC, Catechism of the Catholic Church, there are three things that make church wedding very valid. Okay, one, both persons must be validly baptized. Okay. When I say valid, we know that some baptisms that are not valid. Okay, some of our Pentecostal people that they don't baptize with water, or they don't baptize with the name of the Trinity.
The Trinity.
Okay, so such baptism are not allowed. So that's why we say valid baptism. Both of them must be validly baptized. Then secondary, most of them must have the consent to go into that union.
Yeah, that like spoke against arranged marriage.
Yes, they must have that consent to go into that union. Not that their parents arrange for them. You must have that love established. And that's what the church always look at. Do you know this person?
Yes.
If you notice at the wedding, the priest will ask you, did you come here willingly on your own? Did you? I always answer, yes I do, yes I do, yes I do. So the church has done its part That's the reason why the church does nothing like divorce in the Catholic Church.
Yes.
Because they've taken all those precautions. You also, answer that yes, you are here on your own. Nobody forced you. So both of them, secondly, must have that consensual agreement. Okay. Then the third one is that there must no impediment. This is very critical. There was no impediment whatsoever on the part of the man or on the part of the woman. But in some cases, we have seen whereby, when I mean people hiding, some sort of, secret from their partner. For instance, that's where the church goes into annulment if that is established. Okay. So, that once these three, points are established, that one has been broken, the church could annul that marriage. Now, for instance, the third one, which is very critical, when a woman is lying, you know that you don't have a womb, for instance, so there's no way you could conceive, or a man that is impotent, there's no way you can impregnate a woman, and you deceive your partner in the guise that you don't want everything is holy. So no, when that is established, then you must actually the marriage, the church is free to annul that marriage. And I will add the fourth one. Which is when after the church wedding, like I said before that a wedding is a process or an act of marrying. Then the wedding itself, the marriage itself is the union itself. Okay, the two people in union. Then the sacrament is what validates it. So this process. So when after the sacrament has been received, they have received the sacrament with the exchange of their wedding rings and all that as a symbol of love. They now go back and consummate that union.
Yes.
So if that has not been done, with that when I mean consummation, I mean both of them having sexual intercourse as now husband and wife. If that has not been done and established, then the marriage has not started.
Oh really?
Yes, the marriage has not actually started. So these are the process.
Well, people I remember someone was sharing me that a couple recently got married, but when he received the phone call, I'm like, I'm my husband's on board. She was living with him prior to the wedding, and then I know the church does not allow that. So what do you people say about when people cohabitate before their weddings?
They have actually done the wrong thing and all that. So doing the right thing in the wrong way. So what we might do is to bring them back. Okay, separate them. Yes, we separate them and bring them back. They're not catechize.
So do people really listen to that when you say
sure.
Separate?
We had one before the lockdown. They are come, but sometimes it's always difficult to bring them in that adult stage after having children, and they've been away from sacrament of Holy Communion.
Yes.
So most of them, they are missing out something. Even if you want to go and receive it without anybody knowing, maybe you go to a far place where nobody knows you. What St. Paul says that if you receive him unworthily, you are receiving condemnation. So the best thing to do is to come back and solemnize your union, validate it. So we will separate them, catechize them. Maybe if it's maybe the person is from another church, or maybe because she wasn't baptized or he wasn't baptized, whatever is the case, we rectify that and bring them together.
Okay, you spoke about annulment earlier, and I just remember the story that trended online some time ago. And then this man, she had given birth to I think a daughter or two for this man. And then the man found out that he was not the father of any one of them. So he just came back and gave her a gift. Like, oh, happy birthday, give her a gift. And she was happy. Oh, what did you get me? And then when she opened the box, she found a DNA results. And they found out that the guy already knew. So in that case, the man was like, okay, just pack your things and leave. And this has been, I think he just wondered that. So this has been 3 years after. So the girl is already 3 years old. And the man has been taking care of this girl, thinking that loving her like his child. So what do you think that man would do at that point in time? If the church was to intervene, what would the church do? Or what would you? I know catechists always get involved in things like this.
Actually, the church will not ask because of that. Ask that the marriage be annulled. Yes, because you just the usual thing we see in marriage, people cheating each other. The only difference that this one there is a child after that. So it's not. I think I also saw the video as well, but it's not actually the best way to go about it to ask them to go. Of course, it's one of those things that all have sinned and come short of the glory. So bring them back, and so people adopt children. So you can as well adopt the child. If you think that, oh, this is not my blood, I didn't give it. So you can as well adopt it, but that does not mean that the marriage is no longer valid. The marriage is still valid. You just, one of those things we see in marriage that people do cheat each other. Just for like yesterday, so a woman was like, oh, I don't like as they open the church I thought she was supposed to be happy that they opened. She said, no, I'm not happy because each time we're in the church, my husband will be distracted by side chick and all that. So, yes, so she enjoys them watching the mass on TV for these 20 Sundays. Since March, we've been on lockdown. So she's been enjoying watching the mass on TV with the children. So you can see it's everywhere. You know, at this one, just like they say that all dogs eat shit, or what do you call it? But it's one that, they cut in the red eye, that's saying, these dogs, but all dogs do the same thing. So everybody, most people are guilty of that. Okay? But it's not a basis for us to say the marriage is no longer valid. No.
Okay. And now talking about traditional wedding. I know the church always asks, you mentioned it here when you're talking, the church always asks that we have traditional marriage before the church wedding. And I know the church encourages enculturation a lot, where we can blend both cultures. Why can't we blend these two together? And the fact that I have my traditional wedding as well as the church wedding together, just to, even if it means saving costs, because I will not spend money doing my traditional wedding, I'll still spend money doing the church wedding again. So why can't I just make them both?
Come on, people have been doing that.
What if I don't have the finances to do that?
No, I mean people have been having the two together. It's been trending. People have been doing it. They have the church wedding. They now go home to the bride's home, and traditional is basically in most cultures is the bride is done at the bride's house. So they have the church wedding. They now go to the bride's home and now have the traditional. And now give the same one, whatever you call it, one refreshment.
But I will still take transport fare to the place.
Sorry.
Transport fare now, it's still money I'm spending. Like when I need to, I'll close my bank.
You see, all these things is people's choice. Like you said at the beginning, so-called money mass wedding. Look at what the corona have done to us. The COVID pandemic have brought to us. It has reduced costs drastically, forcefully. People have been forced to reduce costs. It doesn't even need to. Yesterday we had one, just 20 of us.
Exactly.
Okay? So imagine what you need to take care of 20 guests and 400. So you can even court wedding and all that. People who have been going on during the lockdown. The government did not close weddings, funerals. They just gave us a number of people that must be in attendance, not more than 20. So it's been going on, and people have been saving costs. And I'm sure people will not go back to that old ways of family. Yes,
true.
Because yesterday someone said that that I wish I had my wedding during Corona period. And someone is saying that I hope my own time that there will be COVID-19,
really?
so I can have a
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming on this show. I mean, it's been so. You had fun, right? I also had fun.
Sure. I also had fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere until we meet with Collins on Know Your Faith. Stay with us.
Welcome to Know Your Faith series. I am Collins, and today we'll be discussing about the importance of making a spiritual communion. Now, Catholics around the world have had an unexpected, fast from the Holy Eucharist, basically due to the coronavirus outbreak. And we saw bishops, granting dispensations to Catholics all around the world, meaning that we couldn't, for a very long time, receive the Holy Eucharist. Now, although we are dispensed from having the obligation to attend Mass, we must still remember the third commandment, that is to keep the Sabbath holy. So it still remains a day to communicate with God and be in communion with God, even when we are not able to attend Mass. Now, the practice of spiritual communion is actually very, very important, especially in times like this. It is a great way to cultivate our love for Christ in the Eucharist. For times we cannot make it. So this is actually a very important way for you to still feel connected to the Holy Eucharist, irrespective of the fact that you may not be able to attend Mass physically. So it is a traditional practice of expressing to the Lord our longing for Him and our desire for Him to enter into our hearts. And Saint Teresa encourages making an act of spiritual communion at times when you can't attend Mass. Now, there are so many ways about going about making a spiritual communion. Now, the church did not actually give a general formula per se to say that, or give a general act of spiritual communion, but there are very common ones, and one of which is the ones written by Saint Alphonsus, which says, "My Jesus, I believe that you are present in the most blessed sacrament. I love you above all things and desire to receive you in my soul. Since I cannot now receive you sacramentally, come at least spiritually into my heart. I embrace you as if you were already there and unite myself wholly to you. Never permit me to be separated from you again. Amen. So if we see from this prayer, we can basically just highlight the summaries or the necessary steps for us to take in making an act of spiritual communion. The first is you need to make an act of faith, as we see here where he said, "My Jesus, I believe that you are present in the most blessed sacrament." The second is to make an act of love. Third, you need to express your desire to receive him. And fourthly, invite Jesus to come into your heart. So what is important is that you try to make this act of spiritual communion as much as you can. So there's no limit really, especially in this time where you cannot actually attend Mass physically. So making an act of spiritual communion keeps you in that constant communication or communion with God. Yeah, so it is important that you continue to grow in faith and remain connected with Christ. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you've been able to see now the importance of making a spiritual communion. Please feel free to like and share and subscribe to our channel. Until I come your way next time, be bold and be Catholic.
Okay, welcome back. Thank you so much, Collins. Thank you, Mr. Tony, for being here today. Let us remember that marriage is not just the union between two families of a man and a woman and the man and the woman himself, but it's a sacrament in the church, which means it's very, very important. Thank you so much for watching. You can watch this episode and other episodes on our YouTube channel at Dominican Media Present. Also send your questions and suggestions on our social media platforms at CFF on TV. Don't forget to join our Twitter chat room on Tuesday by 7 p.m. with the hashtag CFF chatroom. And our question for this week is, which do you prefer, a modest wedding or a lavish celebration? Which do you prefer, a modest wedding or a lavish celebration? Till I come your way next time, keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Bye.
And so people adopt children, so you can as well adopt the child. If you think that, oh, this is not my blood, I didn't give it, so you can as well adopt it. But that does not mean that the marriage is no longer valid. The marriage is still valid. It just, one of those things we see in marriage that people do cheat each other. Just for like yesterday, so a woman was like, oh, I don't